Hello all, I welcome you all for this session. In this session, I am going to discuss on group technology and its underlying principles. Before proceeding in detail on group technology, let us discuss on the background of group technology. In early 1920s, it was observed that using product-oriented departments of manufacturing standard products in machines, companies lead to the reduction in transportation. So this was the basics which is considered to be the start of group technology. So in general, group technology can be considered as a theory of management based on similar things should be done similarly. So in this context, the things include product design, process planning, fabrication, assembly and production control. So the principles of GT is to divide the manufacturing facility into small groups or cells of machines. So the term cellular manufacturing is often used in this regard. Now let us see the basic definition of group technology. So group technology is a manufacturing philosophy in which similar parts are identified and grouped together to take advantages of their similarities in design and manufacturing. So similar products are arranged into part families where each part family possesses similar design and or manufacturing characteristics. The improvement is typically achieved by organizing the production facilities into manufacturing cells that specialize in production of certain part families. So grouping the production equipment into machine cells where each cell specialization in the production of a part family is called as cellular manufacturing. So the parts in the medium production quality range are usually made in batches. We know there are three types of production. One is job shop or unit production, second one is batch production and third one is mass production. We know in the first type of production system, it is called as a job shop or unit production, in which it uses a special purpose machine to produce several components. So the variety is more but the volume of the product is less in this case. So in batch production, the products are produced in batches which comes under the category a medium volume and medium variety. So if you go to the mass production, it is suitable for producing high volume, low variety products. So in the medium volume and medium variety environments, group configuration is more appropriate. So group technology can produce considerable improvements where it is appropriate, and the basic idea can be utilized in all manufacturing environments. So when we go for batch production, there are certain drawbacks. As I said earlier, group technology is suitable for batch type of production. So there are certain disadvantages in the existing batch production. So we have to overcome these drawbacks to implement the group technologies. So these are the disadvantages of batch production: downtime for changeovers, high inventory carrying costs. So group technology minimizes these disadvantages by recognizing that although the parts are different, there are groups of parts that possess similarities. So this is the basic idea of group technology. We have to identify the similarities based on their design and manufacturing attributes. Now let us see in which scenario we have to use the group technology under cellular manufacturing. So there are two cases. The first case is the group technology and cellular manufacturing can be implemented in a plant which currently uses traditional batch production and a process type of layout. So this results in much material handling effort, high in-process inventory and long manufacturing lead times. So this environment in which we can implement a group technology to reduce these kind of disadvantages like high material handling effort, high in-process inventory and long manufacturing lead times. The second scenario where we can use a group technology and cellular manufacturing is the parts which can be grouped into part families. We have to identify the groups which can be grouped into part families. So each machine cells is to design to produce a given part family or a limited collection of part families. So it must be possible to group parts made into the plant into families. Now there are certain problems in implementing group technology. So what are the problems? First one is to identify the part families. Identification of part families is a big problem in implementing the group technology. So we have to review all the parts made in the plant and group them into part families, which is a very substantial task. All products, all the parts look similar, either in the similarities in the design or similarity in the manufacturing. How we have to group that? That is a very big task for us. Second one is rearranging the production machines into group technology cells. This is the another biggest task when implementing a group technology. So because it is a time consuming and costly to physically rearrange the machines into cells, and the machines are not producing during the changeover. Right. These are the very important problems which we have to overcome to implement the group technology. Now let us see, we will come back to these two things later in the later part of the our presentation. Now let us see what is a part family. So a part family is nothing but a collection of parts that possesses similarities in geometric shape and size or in processing steps used in their manufactures. There are three categories how we can identify a part similarities, or how the part similarities can be distinguished. There are three categories. One is based on their design attributes, based on their manufacturing attributes, and the third category is both design and manufacturing attributes. Right. So you can see three different types of pictures where three different groups of parts are identified and grouped together. So this is called as a part family. The part family is a group of parts which are identified based on the similarities in their design or similarities in their manufacturing, or either both based on the similarities and the design and manufacturing. If you see the first category, if you see this first category, so these three parts have a similar prismatic parts requiring similar milling operations. You can see the holes are drilled on three faces or a single face or two faces of these parts. Okay, so these parts are grouped based on their similarities in both in design and manufacturing. Coming back to the second category of parts, you can see the parts are dissimilar. One is circular, one is a prismatic part, and another one is a different shape. So dissimilar parts requiring similar machining operations are grouped together. You can see the similarities where the machining where it is drilling is performed in all these components. So hole drilling and surface milling is carried out, which is a similarities in these three components. Even though the design is different, based on their similarities in their manufacturing, they are grouped together. So you can see the third category. So identical design parts. You can see two parts, both are same. Okay, but even though it's visibility is in such a way that both are same, but the first particle is made up of a plastic material and the second part is made up of a steel. So these identical design parts requiring completely different manufacturing process are grouped together based on their similarities in their design. So in this manner we have to categorize the part families based on the similarities in the design, similarities in the manufacturing, and similarities in both design and manufacturing. So you can see in this diagram, so we have all our circular components. So 10 parts of different size, shape and material, but quite similar in terms of manufacturing, either turning or thread cutting or drilling are carried out in all these components. So based on the similarities in their manufacturing, these are grouped together even though they are different in shape, size and material. So all parts are machined from cylindrical stock by turning. Some parts require drilling or milling. In this way how the parts are grouped into a part families. So these are the various attributes, part design attributes and part manufacturing attributes. How we have to group the parts based on their part design attributes and part manufacturing attributes. So these are the attributes. You can see the coming to the part design attributes. There are several categories how we have to group the parts into part families. The first thing is basic external, based on the basic external shape, basic internal shape, rotational or rectangular shape, length to diameter ratio, aspect ratio, based on the type of the material, based on the function of the part, major dimension, minor dimension, tolerances and surface finish. So coming to the manufacturing attributes, the major process which is carried out on the part, minor operation which is going to performed on the part, the sequence of operation, the major dimension, surface finish, machine tool, production cycle time, batch size, annual production time, fixes required, cutting tools required are the several factors which has to be considered when we are categorizing the parts based on their part manufacturing attributes. So this diagram illustrates a traditional process layout. So in this diagram, if you see, so a general process layout which has all the turning machines or all the lathe machines are arranged in a single cell. You can see all the milling machines are arranged. You can see all the turning machines are arranged together in a single cell. All the milling machines are arranged in a single cell. All the drilling machines are arranged in a single cell, and grinding machines are arranged in a single cell, and the assembly machines are arranged in a single cell. So in this type of traditional layout, you can see both the shipping and the receiving end are same. So what are the drawbacks if both ends are in the same? Because there will be lot of movement of the materials. So you can see the irregular movement of the materials. If in a traditional process layout, you can see the irregular movement. The movement of the material, the first material goes from first machine, then goes to a third machine. Like that, you can see it goes from first to second. Then from this turning machine, it is directly going to the milling machine. Like that, see, lot of zigzag movements are there, and also it creates lot of in-process inventories, because both shipping and receiving end are both on the same side. It creates lot of in-process inventories. Okay, so the raw materials also start with the same place, and also the finished goods also will be the start at the same place. This causes lot of fatigue to the it does not cause a pleasant environment. So we have to switch over to a group technologies to reduce the material handling, and also we have to group into a various cells instead of making the movement of the material to each and every cells, even though it is not necessary to go into this cell, but it has to pass through this cell in the case of traditional process layout. But if you switch over to a group technology based on the part, if you identify the part families based on their similarities and their design and similarities in the manufacturing, so the part which has similarities in the design will be processed in a case of cellular manufacturing, where based on the operation that is to be performed, the machines are arranged in sequence. That is called as cellular manufacturing. We are going to discuss that in the next slides. So this is a cellular layout based on group technology. So in this case, each cell specializes in producing one or a limited number of part families. So the machines are arranged here with respect to the part families. What are the process which is to be carried out on a particular part family? Based on that, the machines are identified and arranged as a layout. You can see this is a cellular layout. So in this case, the irregular movement of the material and unnecessary in-process inventories are being reduced. In this case, you can see the pleasant environment is being created, where we have a shipping end and the receiving end are at different ends. Okay, the material is incoming at one end, and the finished goods are going outside at the other end. Okay, the parts based on the part families. Okay, so it is being processed in one layout. The another part which is to be processed, which is having a different attributes, will be processed in another cell simultaneously, so that the unnecessary timing, switchover timing, waiting time, idle time, everything is getting reduced in these cases. You can see how the machine cells are arranged together in the form of a cellular layout. So you can see this is another diagram. This is another diagram which gives an idea about the process type of layout and the group technology layout. So before the implementation of the cellular layout, you can see the machines are arranged at different places. The parts are processed and moved between different departments in large lots. Whereas if you go for after implementing a cellular layout, you can see the machines are arranged according to the sequence of operations which is going to be carried out on the part families. You can see the movement is being restricted based on the type of layout. The machines are arranged in order so that the unnecessary movement of the material from each and every station is being avoided, and it reduces considerably the material handling capabilities. So you can see this is the major difference between a process type layout and a group technology layout. So now there are three methods for identifying a part families. The first method is visual inspection. So as the name implies, visual inspection is nothing but by visually seeing the components, we can come to a judgment that this component belongs to this category. That is, by using the best judgment to group parts into appropriate families based on the parts or photos of the parts. By visually seeing that based on the similarities in the design, we have to group that part into part families. Okay, similarly based on the manufacturing attributes, suppose the holes are drilled on particular components, based on that holes, even though there is no similarities in the design, based on the manufacturing attributes we will group the parts. But this visual inspection has lot of disadvantages, because if a judgment it needs skilled laborers. The skilled laborers are required for identifying the parts into part families. If any mistake is done, then the part families, the products in the part families will be identified in a wrong manner, so that we cannot form a group layout. So the second method is a parts classification and coding method, in which the similarities are identified among parts and relating them by means of a coding schemes. So this is a somewhat very good method, but it's a time consuming method. We are going to discuss this in future. Right. The third method is a analytical method, which is called as a production flow analysis method or PFA method, which is using information contained on a root sheets to classify the parts. These are the three methods of identifying the part families: visual inspection, parts classification and coding, production flow analysis. So you can see these two diagrams illustrates the grouping of the parts into part families by means of parts classification and coding systems. So you can see group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. It is classified into 12 group of parts based on their similarities in their design and similarities in manufacturing. So the component which are having the similarities in the manufacturing are being coded with the different coding schemes, and the parts which have similarities in the design are coded differently based with the different coding structures. We will see the coding structures in the future slides. So I think these are the components. So there are 12 categories of the components. You can see, even though the components are not similar in their design attributes, they are grouped together based on their similarities in their manufacturing attributes. So coming back to the parts classification and coding systems. So as we already discussed, parts classification coding system is a system in which the identification of similarities among parts and relating the similarities by means of a numerical coding system. So this is most time consuming of all the three methods. This must be customized for a given company or industry, because the coding scheme, as we see nowadays, there are a lot of barcodes. For even if you are taking a small component, each and every product has their unique barcodes, right? So there are standard coding system followed. For example, if a barcode consists of a 12-digit number, so first 8 digits will be a standard one. The remaining 4 digits will be customized based on the company. Okay, it differs from company to company, right? So this coding system is even though they have a unique coding system, they are following international standards, but it differs in the last 4 digits to prove their uniqueness. So why we are going for a coding scheme? The reasons for using a coding scheme. The first reason is a design retrieval. A designer faced with the task of developing a new part can use a design retrieval system to determine if a similar part already exists. So when the parts are being coded, already identified based on their similarities in the design or similarities in the manufacturing, and we are giving a code, okay, so that if a new part is arriving, we can easily categorize these parts based on the previous history. So this is the very important advantage for us. So to easily retrieve the design if the similar part is already exist. So this is one of the important step why we are coding a part. Second one is simply changing an existing part would take much less time than designing whole new part from scratch. That already we know. So simply changing an existing part. Suppose if a new part arrives, if the history of the part is already available based on previous coding system, then we can easily retrieve the part and we can make some few changes so that we can use it instead of making a new part from a scratch. So it saves a considerable time for us. So this is the first reason why we are using a coding scheme. The second reason is automated process planning. So the part code for a new part can be used for searching the process plans for existing parts with identical or similar codes. So in the group technology, the first step is grouping the parts into part families, then coding the parts according to their similarities in design and similarities in manufacturing. Based on the part families, the process plans are being prepared. Process plan is the sequence of operation, the route sheets, which machine it has to enter first, which machine it has to enter next, what is the sequence of operations, okay, how many machines it has to enter, like that we have to make a detailed process plan, and the process plans are stored in the computer. So when we are coding this one, so we can easily retrieve the existing process plan to process the parts. That is one other advantages of this one. Then the third one is to design a machine cell. The parts code can be used to design machine cells capable of producing all members of a particular part family using the composite part concept. Composite, you know what is a composite? Composite is a material which consists of different materials, okay, have a different properties when combined together, but it gives unique properties when they are separated together. So like that a composite part concept is made, a composite part is being prepared, and the process plans are made according to the composite part, and it is being stored on the computer, so that a similar part is being entered, so that we can design a manufacturing cell layout based on the composite part concept. That is the advantages of coding a part family. Right. So coming to the benefits of parts classification coding system, so it facilitates the formation of the part families and the machine cells as we have discussed in the previous slide. So it permits quick retrieval of design, drawings and process plan. It reduces design duplications. It provides reliable workpiece statistics. It facilitates accurate estimation of the machine tool requirements and logical machine loading. It permits rationalization of tooling setups, reduces the setup time and reduces production throughput time. It allows rationalization of improvement in tool design. It aids production planning and scheduling procedures. And it improves the cost estimation and facilitates cost accounting procedures. It provides for better machine utilization and better use of tools, fixtures and manpower. And it facilitates the NC part programming. These are the various benefits of parts classification and coding system. Now we can discuss the features of parts classification and coding system. So the most classification coding system are based on one of the following categories: based on the part design attributes, based on the part manufacturing attributes, or both design and manufacturing attributes. You can see this table. This table illustrates us the part design attributes and the part manufacturing attributes. Already we have discussed this in the previous slides. Okay, for understanding purpose, this table is included here. So part design attributes based on various attributes like basic external shape, basic internal shape, etc. Whereas part manufacturing attributes are categorized based on their major process, minor operations, annual production, fixtures required, cutting tools and manufacturers. Right. So now coming back, how we are going to code a part family. So there are three structures used for coding a part families. So a part coding system consists of a sequence of symbols that identify the part's design or manufacturing attributes. So these symbols are usually alphanumeric, although most systems use only numbers. So the three structures used in the classification coding schemes are: first one is hierarchical structure, which is also called as a mono code, in which the interpretation of each successive symbols depends on the value of the preceding symbols. That is, the first symbol, the second symbol will depend on the first symbol. So in hierarchical type of structure. Coming to the second type of structure, it is a chain type structure. Chain type structure, which is also known as a polycode, in which the interpretation of each symbol in the sequence is always the same. It does not depend on the values of the preceding symbol. Each and every symbol has its own uniqueness. It does not depend on either on the preceding or the next symbol. So there is another type of coding structure which is called as a mixed mode structure, which is hybrid, which is also called as a hybrid structure, which is hybrid of these two previous code. Okay, either it will be dependent or either it will be independent. One may be dependent, other may be independent. So these are the three different structures used in a classification and coding system. So based on this, we will discuss what are the different types of classification and coding systems available in the next slides. So you can see this is the first type of structure, chain type structure, which is also known as a polycode, in which the interpretation of each symbol is the sequence is always the same. It does not depend on the value of the preceding symbols. You can see this is coded in the 8 digits. You can see as already told, chain type structure in which each interpretation of each symbol in the sequence is always the same. It does not depend on the value of the preceding symbols. So each and every digits are unique. So the first digit represents a material, second digit represents the material form, third digit represents the material property, fourth digit represents the bending method, fifth digit represents the tolerance, sixth digit represents the surface finish, seventh digit represents the test method, and eighth digit represents the special requirements. So the digits value depends on chosen alphabetic code. Okay, this can be depends on the chosen alphabetic codes. So the next type of structure is an hierarchical structure, also known as monocode, in which the interpretation of each successive symbols depends on the value of preceding symbols. You can see, so this symbol is the first symbol. The other three symbols are depending on the first symbol. You can see a lot of branches. Okay, so this is if it is the second symbol, then these two symbols are depending on this one. So it is a monocode which depends on the preceding symbols. You can see, for example, you can see this one. For example, 32XX. 32XX is a code which consists of three branches, that is mechanical, hydraulic and electrical type of systems. So 32 is a common code. 1 represents a mechanical, 2 represents hydraulic, and 3 represents a electrical. So as we are having our register number RA1511002010 like that. Okay, so the last 2 or 3 digits are separate, which illustrates their register number, whereas the last fourth or fifth digit represents the branch they are studying, like that. You can see this is the difference. Okay, 32 is a common code. 1 represents the mechanical, 2 represents hydraulic, and 3 represents the electrical. And the fourth digit represents, in mechanical, the fourth digit represents it is a rotational object, whereas the fourth digit 2 here it represents it's a prismatic. You can see it is a prismatic, whereas this 1 represents it's a rotational component. So whereas if you categorize the hydraulic component, it is 322X. So like that we can categorize the hydraulic also. Coming to the electrical, so it is categorized as 323X. So X varies based on the power requirement. 1, if X is equal to 1, it indicates the power, X is equal to 2 indicates the transmission, and 3 indicates the receiving. So in this manner the hierarchical structure is being coded. And the third type of coding structure is called as a hybrid structure. Either the first digit will depend on the second, or the second digit, third digit is not dependent on the second. So you can see this is the this is the hybrid structure. Either these are depending on this one, and these are independent of the first codes. So like that the coding structure varies based on 3 categories: chain type, hierarchical type, and hybrid structure.